Another week on the chart. Let's go through how we're setting up this week. I have done a video already with the weekly outlook, so I'm not going to talk too much on that. I'm just going to talk about what I did from last week into this week, which was the two positions I had set on EU, which were around here on the 20th of May. We had that hit TP, but not TP. I closed out. If we go to that, it's around here, the entry. We had stops at like 70 pips. We closed out yesterday morning at 0.50 when I woke up. So we had about two are there. And then we had the other position that closed out at break even, which we had around here. I'll talk for the reason why I closed them out. Where was that entry? Somewhere down here. It was literally at the 1.14, I think it was. Yeah, so we literally got a break even yesterday. The reason why is I was talking about on the weekly outlook is I've basically gone back through my testing and understood any time here that we've tapped into a weekly liquidity, rejected at it, had a weekly pullback, come up, and then still had a massive either weekly bearish candle or weak bullish candle with a large wick, every time that didn't play out. Therefore, my probabilities don't really seem to be playing out with this move being held or both moves being held. As a result, I just closed out and just said, look, I'm going to wait potentially for the trend change on the weekly and the daily, and then I'll play sells. If not, then obviously I'll miss the buys back up to the highs because I'll close them out, and that was my move. And then we'll just sit and watch. But it looks like in a minute we could be making a top wick for the week. I've obviously just marked out here the weekly liquidity here from here, which was still not breaking. We tapped into it last week to the pip, so it's such an important level, and we just rejected off it. So with the current yearly high, looks to be out of reach at the minute. We do obviously have previous week close below that wick high from the previous week as well, which makes, at least on the daily, this look like a potential inducement, which means price will run down to that. Whether we go up from that point, I'm not sure. I'd probably be more than sitting out now for a low and a lower high to play down to this liquidity, and I'll be giving that a shot. And then we could get even deeper pullbacks on the weekly time frame. We've got to remember, we're not bearish. You know, we've been setting higher highs, high lows all year so far. We obviously then will be looking at this liquidity down here if we do come and clear that, and then we'll be bearish. So that's really it on the EU. I don't think I'll be taking any trades this week, so it's more about sitting out, and I'll just show you now my live data for this month so far. So let me get this out of the way. You can see here total in May, so we had 2 losing months in a row, didn't take any winners. This proves to me again, like I've had it before in 24 where I've had, you know, 2 losing months in a row, minus 1.95, -1, and then 7R, and I've done it again. -3, -2, 7.7. We took obviously that EU trade ended up being a 1.83, and then that is 5 winners, 2 losses for the month. Happy with the win rate, how it's gone up. I think they're obviously, again, they're coming in bunches, aren't they? The losses and the wins. So you've got to be on it when the wins come in. And then obviously this month so far, we've closed out EU at break even, and we're up for the month already. So I'm in a great position. I'm sitting here at the start of the month and I'm going, well, I don't really need to take any more moves. If I do, and it sets up well, and I take 2 extra losses for the month and I end up with 0.35R, then so be it. But I think there's good opportunity to have another good month, maybe like 5 to 10R, if we catch another decent winner. I think that's something to note, is that I have a lot of trades that are over 3R, and that all these moves here weren't even close to 3R. So a 3R could come in at any point. Also, I know there's a loss streak potentially coming in at some point as well. That's what you've got to keep on your toes with. When you've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 trades and 1 loss, then you know at a certain point you're going to have losses. We're coming into summer soon. We're coming into July, August, where the markets tend to slow down, and we might get really big fundamental moves that are just completely controlling the market. That's going to mean you have to be a bit more careful going into the summer months. As for GU, we obviously caught the 3 winners, so there's not really anything to say here. Really, to start the week, we've obviously seen Monday, because we're obviously on Tuesday morning now, wick up, respect Friday's high. As for the weekly time frame though, we obviously didn't engulf previous weekly body here, which obviously if I get my gaps candles up, for me that's here. We then made a new yearly high. It's looking like it's struggling. I'm still really now eyeing on what we do around this area, because this is the pivotal area for me if we're going to stay bullish or we're going to go bearish, which makes this liquidity a potential target down the line. So I'm waiting for price to set up here, and you've got to understand when we're potentially changing, when we haven't got confirms for sells yet necessarily on the daily time frame and stuff. So right, you're calling a sell up here, but if you've been doing that throughout the whole bull move, you've just been taking loss, 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 loss. So for you to take 5 losses, how confident are you going to be to hold this move all the way down? That's the difference, and that's what I found doesn't work for me well. I'm not really that kind of trader that trades that way. I like trading the trend. So what I'm going to have to see here is let's start clearing out these wicks. That is like decent liquidity on the daily, to be fair. Make a low, pull back again, get a high, maybe sell. But the key thing I need now is a bearish week on GU, and I do need that on EU as well. So you got to understand, especially now, I'm really just sitting out for the rest of the week, I think. There's nothing that's going to make me trade at all. The only way I'd trade on EU is if we break these highs and then make a further high and pull back and create a bullish candle. That's the only trade I can take. And that's where I know how I trade. I know that I've been so involved in the markets the last 2-3 weeks. It's so nice to sit here now and go, I don't even have to look at the market any time. I don't have to even look at it. I don't have to even entertain it. I know there's no moves right now. I've got out my positions. And again, this is another thing I'm trying to reiterate is price runs up to the highs on EU. Do I feel bad that I closed out? No, because I've gone back through data over the weekend and confirmed that getting out of this trade at this moment in time is the best option. Whether or not it will play out is all part of probability, but I can get out of this and be confident that I made the right decision no matter what. Sometimes it's not always about maximising your winners. It's sometimes about getting out of trades that are in a little bit of profit. I think the buy I had around here is completely in jeopardy because we're so high up. I spoke about that. The best moves were from down here and probably around here, this wick. Anything higher than that, you're potentially going to get caught out in a very heavy pullback, even if we do continue up. So that's my week setting up. It won't be a big video. We're going to be a lot slower now. But I am going to talk about where I'm at with the accounts. Obviously, FTMO, I showed you guys last week, but I'm a bit annoyed with the fivers at the minute. I'm not going to lie, because I'm due a payout. I'm able to withdraw. It's telling me that I have to close out on my positions. This position I closed out yesterday morning, right? I've been on live chat 3 times. They're not sorting the thing out. They've obviously sorted out this dashboard. The equity and the balance wasn't the same. They've now changed that to being correct. Where I stand with this is, it's like, come on, the fivers. You know, you're 10 years in the game. You've got a dashboard back from 2015. Are you going to update this? Put $1 million in. I don't know how much to create a website. It doesn't cost that much, does it? Put 100k in. 100k into a new platform website and sort it out, because this is stale. It's so old. The figures don't update. I can't calculate my max daily loss. When I'm in trades, I'm going on live chat going, can you update my dashboard for me, please? It's like, come on. You're better than that. You want to be best in the game. You can't be having this. FTMO's got live figures. You can see before you even click on the accounts exactly what your figures are. Equity, balance, equity moving, second by second. I mean, this is outdated and it needs updating. So I do hope I can withdraw today. Obviously, I've got a 2k payout from closing that EU trade. So yeah, we're going to be looking at about $1.6 thousand, $1.7 thousand after split and all that. Like I said in my video about working a job, you're going to be looking at about £1,000 after tax for me in pounds, which is still good. Still, I earn that much in a month at my work, so that's a month's salary right there, or wage, whatever you call it. I can't get my funded next account for some reason. The dashboards are all bugging out today. Only down 1.2% now on ThinkCapital phase 1. I was obviously at like at one point I was at 92 something, so they managed to call that all the way back to entry, which is really good. And now I'm really just looking to get back on the 1.5% risk and just give that a go, seeing if we can get back to passing this. I think it's a 10% profit target, so it's like FTMO. It's going to take a long time. I think unless we have a really good month this month, we're going to obviously see this continue, and we're going to be in a challenge for a while. And that's it really. So we'll come back later in the week, see where we're at, and yeah, let's go for it. Let's have a good week. The week's already a wrap on Thursday here. We're going to go through the news, and we're also going to talk through the price movement, because there's not really anything else to happen this week now. Going to go through the overall news events, and I obviously claim that probably couldn't get any worse for the dollar. And whilst it does seem that way, I think the main big event, which is the inflation rate, we actually saw come out under forecasted, which puts pressure on the Fed. I think Trump said to Powell, need to cut by 100 basis points. Crazy, that's 1%. Over the next 6 months probably, which I don't know if he'll do that. That's obviously not good for dollar. Then we saw PPI come out, which is the main one that I thought couldn't get worse, which didn't. We did see a print higher than 0, but still below forecasted. So that really just, again, doesn't look good for dollar. And you can see unemployment claims come out today, similar to what happened last week and the week before, over 250. I mean, then we saw GDP for pound as well today actually, come out negative, even though we still saw the pound rise against the dollar. So let's go into the week. I obviously spoke about what I did to start the week. I obviously closed out my buy positions here. Where are we going here? All the way here, I closed out my buy position. So based on that, I closed that around here. We saw price run up and obviously took the high out. So I wasn't going to take any more buys from that point, because I said that I closed my position for a certain reason, and it would have hit TP. But this is why I want to reiterate how I trade, my decision that I made over the weekend. Going into this week, I wasn't going to buy again. I was waiting to see a bearish weekly candle to then sell next week. We ain't seen that. So my bias for this week, it wasn't wrong because I wasn't selling. And that's where back in 2-3 months ago, I would have looked for a sell in and around here to play down to this daily liquidity. And obviously that didn't end up getting taken. It was just a matter of price stalled. And then we got the injection of volume with the news. Let's get this out of the way. What's going on? And then we saw that move up. We took out current yearly high. We're going to break this liquidity, it looks like, going into tomorrow. And really overall for the week now, we're looking very, very bullish. The monthly's now come and cleared previous monthly high from, April. So we're still going. That's where you can't call a top. I mean, I've been saying it because all I've done is lose this year from when I have tried to call a top. And yet again, it's just proven that prices run straight up. So that was that on EU. As for GU, I was going to wait for a bullish candle to form, which was yesterday, and already we moved up too high today, so there was no trades for me in this week at all. I already knew that from the start of the week that I said there's unlikely to be a trade. We've seen price had a nice wick down. So if you were looking for buys, again, we took out, and this made a lot of sense. Can't be getting the camera right today. This made a lot of sense because if we looked at price the way it moved, this was the high from the previous week. Last week actually failed to break it. So it made this pullback, which started here, which took out this, the overall inducement. Took out the inducement and carried on up. So 4-hour trading, that was great. That was a great move. And you probably could have done the 4-hour, but if you're getting too caught up going into the lower time frames here, you'd be looking at this going, oh, we're bearish, we're bearish, we're bearish. And then you're looking at sells in here and you get done. So that wasn't a good trade. Simply that. Really it for the week. We just saw price run up. We've not moved up as much on GU though. So for me, I'm now looking on the daily and seeing if we can break this high here from a couple of weeks ago. If we can't, we may start to create a big range in here. This could last a couple more weeks. We don't know yet. Then we might get the sell-off eventually. But the minute I'm looking at that weekly to be targeted. And that's really it for the week. Some weeks are really slow. I want to show you the good weeks, the bad weeks, and the weeks that I take no trades in, because that's what I do as a trader. I don't just take wins, I don't just take losses. It's a mixture of everything. We saw on DXY us take out the overall currently low, still running down. It looks great on the weekly though. I've marked in the key level around 100 just to prove that all we did on the weekly, and this is where again, you're not trading what you think, you're trading what you see. We've held above 100 ever since 2022. We've held this area as key demand here. We broke it, came above it, and failed to hold above it. So we kind of faked back up to the upside. Then we confirmed we were heading down. We saw a retest of 100 with a weak bullish candle. I remember saying it looked good for sales down to here. Last week stalled. The next week filled the week down and carried on. You could tell from that retest, this break and retest back after we already saw a fake out to the upside. And this POI was really key for this period. It's not my day today. We saw this area here. So we just held it and we retested that area again. So don't wonder why it's gone down, because it's shown time and time again over the last 3 or 4 weeks. We're still bearish and we're not getting any signs of upside yet. Paired that with the fundamentals and the order flow, likely from the institutions, it's a wrap really, isn't it? We're still seeing downside. Now, I'm still bearish on DXY, I'm still bullish on EU and GU. Next week I'll be setting up for more buys more than likely. As long as we see these weeklies close strong, I'll be looking for that again. And then, yeah, if I do lose, and this is the important thing, I'm more than happy to lose a buy if we eventually do this. And any buys from in here lose, because then I can start playing sells and I can catch this move. But what you don't want to be doing is, from around daily areas, is from this point here, because I know so many guys are going to be doing the exact same thing I was doing. It's just so hard to get out of that mindset and switch to just trading what's actually going on. This is where most traders just lose their edge, because they have the edge, but then they don't realise that when it comes to losing periods, they're doing something wrong. You have to learn from your mistakes. It's like around these areas, you know, you're calling tops. You see price fail that high, and then you see price pull back and you think, right, it's going down. Well, it doesn't. Then you see price move up, break down. Oh, we're going down. Okay, that got cleared. And really, once that got cleared to me, because this was the bearish leg on the daily. Once we had this daily leg, if you were calling the sell, as soon as price broke down the daily, confirmation that we're still going back up to the highs, really. Obviously, I closed up my position because I wasn't confident and the analysis was supporting that. But yeah, again, just purely for the backtesting, without adding these extra rules in that I want to look at throughout the periods of my trading, this trade would have won, and I could have had a much bigger win, and I could have had another win with EU that I have a trade that I took. I closed out at break even. So even I'm not perfect. Even I didn't maximise this position, but I did still catch buys within it on EU and GU, so I can be happy with that. I didn't take sells this week. I didn't call the top this week. I've sat out the whole week, and I've not made any money. I've not managed to get a trade going on my phase 2 accounts, and that's the way I do it. That's how good traders trade. They analyse, they know when to sit out, they know when to get in, and they don't just chase moves. I didn't this week go and chase the buy again. I didn't try and get in today or yesterday when price was moving back to the upside because I was done with that idea. The idea wasn't there anymore for me, and it still played out. No FOMO, no jumping back in, no over trading on a different pair thinking that, oh, this pair might work though. Only things that I've tested, only things that I've worked out. Being confident that the decision you make in the moment is never going to be perfect, and it never will be. You'll never maximize a full move. You will never be able to catch every trade, and you'll catch losses along the way. But it's how you deal with that and how you make these judgments will, over the course of 3 months, 6 months, and a year, give you that profitability you're looking for. But yeah, won't keep us too long. That's a week done. See you guys next week. Have a good one. Take care. Peace out.